You want a raise? I want a month without you. Deal? He said it with that half-smile people wear when they think they're clever, chin tilted, voice stretched with amusement, waiting for the laugh track that never came. I didn't laugh. I just said, "Deal," and watched the smirk freeze on his face like wet paint in cold air. It's strange how fast contempt turns into confusion, but let me start a few hours earlier. I'd been working at Vire Systems for 3 years. Senior back-end developer on paper. Unofficial janitor of every problem that nobody else wanted to touch. My code kept the subscription pipeline alive. My weekend patches had saved 2 major client launches. My name appeared nowhere. I wasn't bitter, not at first. You learn to swallow things in corporate life the way you swallow cheap coffee, fast before you taste it. But that Monday morning, I'd hit a wall. We'd just shipped the new analytics dashboard, the one that bumped retention by 12%. The CEO had applauded him, my boss, Brad, in front of everyone. "Brilliant leadership, Brad!" And Brad, standing 2 feet away from me, didn't even blink before saying, "Team effort. I just guided the architecture." I built that architecture, alone. That's when I decided I'd ask for the raise. Not because of greed, because of gravity. You can't carry a company on your back forever without something breaking. So I sent a calendar invite. Performance and compensation review. 15 midnight. He accepted instantly. That should have been my first red flag. His office was glass on 3 sides, transparent walls for a man with none. He was scrolling through emails when I walked in, pretending not to see me until I spoke. "Got a minute?" He glanced up, leaned back, folded his hands behind his head. "Always for my top guy. Sit." I sat. My palms were dry, heartbeat steady. I'd rehearsed this. Numbers, impact, roadmap, all data, no emotion. I've taken on the cloud migration, handled incident response after hours, and led the analytics release that improved retention by 12%. I think it's fair to discuss an adjustment to my comp. He raised a finger, interrupting mid-sentence, that lazy grin widening. "Hold on. You think you deserve a raise?" "I do. Based on results." He chuckled. "You know what I think you need? A break. You've been here non-stop. Always online, always in Slack, always fixing stuff. You want a raise? Fine. I want a month without you. Deal?" The silence after that was surgical. He expected me to flinch. Maybe laugh awkwardly, maybe backpedal. Instead, I nodded once. "Deal?" Brad blinked. "Wait, what?" "You said you want a month without me. You've got it." He leaned forward, the smugness cracking around the edges. "That's not... don't take it literally." But I already had. At my desk, I opened my email. Subject. Compensation discussion. Agreement confirmation. Body. Per our conversation, confirm in your statement that you would like a month without me. I'll be taking that time effective immediately, utilizing accumulated PTO as per HR policy. CC, HR, send. Then I watched his name pop up in the read receipts column, twice. He didn't reply. I spent the next 2 hours doing what any self-respecting engineer does before walking away from a live system, preparing the battlefield. I left no loose wires, no hidden traps, just order, documented pipelines, automated cron handoffs, passwords rotated and sealed in the team vault. I even wrote a cheerful handover message in Slack. "Hey team, per arrangement with Brad, I'll be offline for the next month. Please reach out to him for any escalations. All systems are green. Have a smooth sprint." And then I logged out. The first day felt alien. My laptop sat on the kitchen table like an animal waiting for command. For the first time in years, no pings, no midnight alerts, no urgent fix PLS messages. I took a walk. The city sounded different when you weren't half listening for notifications. Softer, almost human. That night, I opened a notepad and wrote 3 sentences. 1. Don't gloat. 2. Don't warn them. 3. Just watch. because I knew exactly what would happen next. Brad wasn't just arrogant, he was dependent. Every system he claimed to guide ran on invisible scaffolding I built, without documentation, without my instinct for when the servers coughed before dying. He'd be flying blind. He wanted a month without me. He was about to find out what that really meant. Day 2. An email from HR. Confirming your approved PTO through April 15th. Enjoy your break. Day 3. A text from a colleague. Hey, billing job failed twice. Did you change anything before you left? I didn't answer. Day 4. Slack pings from unknown numbers. Brad said you might still have the API notes. Nope. Deleted the app. Day 5. Silence. Then a voicemail from Brad himself. Voice clipped, tight. Call me. Need to clarify a few things. Not urgent. I smiled. Deleted it. It wasn't about revenge. Not yet. It was about space. Breathing room. Watching a system reveal its weak joints when you stop patching it with your own skin. Sometimes you need to step away not to rest, but to let others face the weight they've been pretending to carry. Brad thought he'd won some clever little standoff, but as I sat on my balcony watching the city lights flicker against the glass of my untouched work phone, I realized something that made me laugh out loud for the first time in months. He'd given me exactly what I needed. Time. Time to think. Time to remember who I was before the endless urgent tasks. Time to see how much of that company's heartbeat came from one man who'd just gone quiet. And somewhere inside Veyer's spotless office, I knew Brad was learning the opposite lesson. Silence has weight. By the end of that first week, I'd already received a message from a recruiter I once ignored. Heard you might be open to projects. Need a systems consultant short-term. Flexible hours. Remote. Interested? I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Sure, let's talk. No revenge, just evolution. He wanted a month without me. He was about to get it. Every single silent, unstoppable day of it. By the third day, the silence in their Slack channels must have started to itch. I could almost hear it. That anxious tapping of keyboards when nobody knows who's actually in charge. On my end, the world was quiet. The recruiter from earlier had sent over an NDA and a brief. A startup out of Denver wanted help stabilizing their back end before a funding round. Nothing illegal, nothing that touched my old company's IP. Just clean consulting work. I signed it the same day. While Veyer Systems scrambled, I opened a new workspace, poured black coffee, and built something that wasn't held together by panic. For the first time in years, I wrote code that didn't have a timer ticking above it. But across town, my absence had begun to speak louder than any email. Day 5. A developer from my old team, Maya, texted me from her personal phone. Hey, can you please tell me where the billing failover scripts are? Brad says you kept them undocumented. I didn't answer, because I hadn't. They were in the repo, clearly labeled, but you needed to read more than the headlines to find them. Day 7. A message popped into my LinkedIn inbox. Are you still on vacation? Brad's been calling you all day. Then a second one from HR this time. Just checking in to confirm your return date. Things are a little hectic. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The week ended with a push notification from a news alert I'd set up ages ago. Veyer Systems rollout for Prism Analytics delayed due to unexpected technical challenges. I laughed. Unexpected was one word for it. Day 10. I took the train downtown for the first time in months. Sat by a window, watched the glass blur. I wasn't thinking about work, at least not directly. But muscle memory's a tricky thing. My brain still wrote commit messages in silence. That night, I got another text. Hey man, client meeting today was rough. Brad promised real-time dashboards, but the data streams didn't sync. He kinda blamed you. Of course he did. Blame is oxygen for people like Brad. He needed someone to absorb the failure so he could stay buoyant. The irony, he was the one who signed off on skipping QA to move faster. I typed out a reply, deleted it, and shut my phone off. Day 12. My consultant gig picked up speed. The Denver team was small, 5 people, none of them corporate. We had a call that lasted 2 hours, and in that entire time, nobody said the word synergy. When we solved an issue, they said thank you. Not in an email. Out loud. It's strange how simple respect feels foreign when you've gone too long without it. Day 14. Another email from HR. The subject line read, Urgent System Access Clarification. I didn't open it. Instead, I went out for a run. The air was sharp, cold, honest. I realized I'd forgotten what normal fatigue felt like. Not burnout, just tired legs and good oxygen. When I came back, my voicemail light blinked red. Brad's voice again. Look, we need to talk. You left things undocumented. We can't find the Jenkins configs, and the client's pissed. This isn't funny anymore. Call me. He still didn't get it. He thought this was some stunt, a sulk. He hadn't understood that the moment I said deal, I'd stopped belonging to his timeline. Day 17. A friend from finance sent me a message at midnight. Audit found cloud costs doubled this quarter. Brad's blaming infra. CFO's calling a review meeting. I wish you could see the panic. I didn't wish that. I could picture it perfectly. Brad sweating in that glass office, trying to sound composed while half the floor watched. He'd always called me his safety net. Now the net was gone, and he was learning gravity. Day 20. The startup gig was flying. Their infrastructure was cleaner, their code leaner, their meetings shorter. They paid on time, said please and thank you, and actually read my documentation. Every night, I wrote a few extra lines in a private doc. Not notes about them, but about me. About the person I was becoming outside that glass cage. Then one afternoon, Maya called. No text this time. Actual voice call. I almost ignored it, then answered. Hey, she said, breathless. You didn't hear this from me, okay? But the Prism client is threatening to pull out. Brad tried to demo the real-time metrics, and the whole thing froze. Twice. He blamed the team. HR's calling it a learning phase. They've been in meetings for 3 hours straight. I stayed quiet. He's losing it, she said finally. Honestly, I think they might fire him. Stay calm, I said. Do your work. Keep logs. Don't pick sides. She hesitated. You planned this, didn't you? No, I said. He did. Day 23. That morning, the Denver startup sent me a formal offer. A 6-month contract, double my old rate, with equity. The same day, an HR director from Vire messaged me. When you return, can we schedule a performance review? We'd like to align expectations. Align expectations. Corporate code for we finally realized who was holding the roof up, I replied. Sure. April 15th, 9 a.m. Day 25. The news broke internally. Prism Analytics had canceled its renewal. 7 figures gone. The announcement hit the internal Slack like a siren. Emoji reactions muted. Nobody knowing what to say. Maya sent me a screenshot. Brad's message read, We take full accountability as a team. Let's regroup tomorrow. But by then, the board already knew whose fault it wasn't. Day 27. I got a calendar invite from HR. Executive debrief. Attendance required. I smiled. Opened a fresh doc on my laptop. Title, The Deal. A postmortem. I wasn't angry. I wasn't vindictive. I was focused. Every timestamp, every email, every performance metric, all neatly archived. Because soon I'd need them. Day 29. One more voicemail from Brad. His voice was thin now, flat. Listen, we both know things got messy. Let's talk when you're back. We can fix this. You and me, we've built a lot together. No deal this time, no smirk, just static at the end of the line. I didn't delete that one. I saved it. Day 30. My final day off. I woke before dawn, made coffee, and opened my calendar. One event blinked red. Return to work, 9 a.m. The Denver team had just signed off their seed round. Their CEO sent me a message. Thanks for the architecture. Jay saved our pitch. At exactly 8:45, I ironed a clean shirt, opened my laptop, and reconnected to Vire's VPN. Notifications flooded in like a burst dam. Hundreds of unread messages, dozens of crisis threads, 3 separate urgent tags from Brad himself. I ignored them all and opened one single draft email, titled The Deal. One line inside. You wanted a month without me? You got it. See you tomorrow at the executive meeting. That night, I slept without setting an alarm. For the first time in years, I didn't dream about code. I dreamed about silence, the kind that isn't empty but earned. And tomorrow, that silence was going to walk into a glass office and speak for itself. The elevator doors slid open with a metallic sigh that felt like déjà vu. Same floor, same smell, burnt coffee and tension. Only this time, every pair of eyes that lifted toward me froze for half a heartbeat longer than usual. I wasn't supposed to look different. Same jacket, same ID card. But absence does something to a man. You leave as a shadow, and you return as a mirror. "Hey, Jay," one of the interns called, too bright, too careful. "Welcome back, man," another said. I smiled. "Thanks. Miss me?" They laughed nervously. Brad's office door was shut. Of course it was. At 8:59 a.m., I walked straight past it and into the main conference room. The sign outside read, Executive Debrief. Inside, the HR director, the CTO, the CFO, and 3 board members on a video wall. They looked like a panel of surgeons preparing for a complicated extraction. "Good morning," I said, setting my laptop down. The HR director smiled too wide. "Morning, Jason. Thanks for joining us. We're just waiting for—" The door opened. Brad walked in, pale, tired, eyes flicking around the room like he was counting allies and coming up short. He saw me and paused. "You're early." "You said 9. He adjusted his tie. "Right." They began with the usual small talk, but the CFO cut through it. "Let's not waste time. We're down one major client. Project deadlines missed, and the audit shows overspending in cloud infrastructure. We need answers." Brad cleared his throat, adopting the tone of a man trying to sound both calm and victimized. "We had unexpected resource gaps while Jason was on leave. The team did their best, but some of his documentation was complete," I said quietly, opening my laptop. A folder glowed on the screen. Operational handover, March 1st. I turned the laptop so everyone could see. Inside, time-stamped PDFs, code notes, and handover logs. All documented, delivered, acknowledged by you in this email. Click. The projector displayed Brad's reply from a month ago. "Looks good. Enjoy your break." The silence that followed was surgical. The CTO spoke next. "Jason, we'd like to hear your perspective. What happened in your absence?" I nodded, calm. Nothing happened in my absence. Things happened because of it. Then I laid it out, not with anger, but with precision. The billing scripts never failed until manual overrides were introduced. The API outage coincided with undocumented changes from Brad's login. The audit showed cost spikes from unapproved test instances. Every fact had a timestamp, every timestamp a receipt. When I finished, nobody spoke for a full 10 seconds. Then the CFO said quietly, "Can you confirm these findings, Brad?" He didn't look up. "Some of them maybe, but it's more complicated than—" "No," I said, "it isn't." I could have stopped there. Let the data finish the job. But the truth was heavier than that. "I took the month because he told me to," I said, looking at Brad. "You wanted to see if this team could run without me. You were right. It can't. But that's not my failure. That's yours." His jaw tightened. "You think you're irreplaceable?" "No," I said. "I just think you replace leadership with ego." The HR director shifted uncomfortably. The board members on screen whispered to one another. Finally, one of them, an older man with a clipped accent, leaned closer to the camera. "Mr. Brad, we'll need you to step outside for a few minutes." Brad's eyes widened. "Wait, what?" "It's procedure," the HR director said. He hesitated, then stood, gathering his papers with shaky hands. Our eyes met for half a second, his full of disbelief, mine full of quiet certainty. When the door closed behind him, the CFO turned to me. Jason, what would you do differently? I had an answer ready. I opened another folder on my laptop. Project Atlas Recovery Plan. It wasn't revenge. It was order. A full 90-day roadmap detailing how to rebuild the architecture from scratch. Stable, efficient, scalable. I'd written it during that month away, not because I planned to save them, but because that's what I do. Fix broken things, even hypothetically. The CTO scrolled through the slides, eyes widening. This is good, she said. Really good. It's already been tested, I added. They looked up. Where? I didn't hesitate. At a partner company, they licensed the framework for internal use. It's working there already. The CFO raised an eyebrow. Which partner? I smiled. A startup out of Denver. You'll read about them soon. 10 minutes later, Brad was called back in. He walked in stiff, trying to read the room. The HR director's voice was neutral. Brad, after reviewing recent events, the board has decided to reassign your duties, effective immediately pending further review. He blinked. You're firing me? We're suspending you. With pay. He turned toward me, face flushing. You think this is over? I stood, collecting my laptop. It's not over. It's corrected. Outside the conference room, the office felt smaller. Maya caught my eye across the hall. She didn't smile, just gave a slow nod that said finally. I walked back to my desk, where my plant still sat alive, watered. Someone had kept it alive for me. That detail hit harder than I expected. Then my phone buzzed. An email notification from the Denver startup. Subject, official offer, lead systems architect, full-time, double salary, remote, immediate start. I stared at it, then looked around the open office one last time. The flickering monitors, the stale coffee smell, the ghost of every urgent that was never really urgent. Brad's glass office was empty now, the blinds half closed. Through the reflection, I saw myself, calm, collected, done. Before I left, I stopped by HR. Appreciate the meeting, I said. I'll send my formal resignation tonight. The HR director blinked. Wait, you don't have to. I do. She tried again. The board might want to renegotiate. They had their chance. Outside, the elevator dinged. I stepped in, pressed the button for the lobby, and watched the doors slide shut on the only chapter of my life I didn't regret ending. That night, I wrote my final email to the team. Subject, goodbye and good code. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors, and sometimes walking through one is the only way to remind people you built the room in the first place. No bitterness, no flames, just truth. The next morning, my phone buzzed again, a message from Maya. He's out for good. They're offering to make you VP. Want me to set up the call? I typed my answer slowly. Thanks, but I've already said yes to someone who means it when they say deal. The Denver CEO called me that afternoon. Welcome aboard, she said. Ready to build? Always, I replied. But as I looked out the window, city lights spilling across the glass, I knew I wasn't building just another system. I was rebuilding myself, without compromise, without apology. 2 weeks after I walked out of Vire Systems, the silence was over. Not the calm silence of peace, the sharp kind that comes before a storm breaks open. It started with a LinkedIn notification. Brad M. has updated his status, taking a short sabbatical to focus on new opportunities. Sabbatical. That was one word for being escorted out by security after the board meeting leaked to the press. The story spread faster than any release I'd ever pushed. Major client pulls out of Vire Systems amid management shakeup. The comments were a feeding frenzy. Toxic leadership always implodes. Can't believe they lost Prism. That was their cash cow. And tucked between them, one that made me laugh out loud. Wasn't there a guy who left right before it all fell apart? Yeah, there was. By then, I was already knee-deep in my new job. The Denver startup wasn't flashy, but it was real. People talk straight. No performance theater, no synergy meetings where ideas went to die. We shipped fast, clean, and with purpose. My mornings started with code, not chaos. My nights ended with silence, not slack. Every now and then, a part of me wondered how the old team was doing. Not out of nostalgia, more like curiosity about a place you used to survive. Then one afternoon, I got a message from Maya. Maya, you see the news? Me. Depends which one. Maya. Brad's lawsuit. Me. What lawsuit? Maya. He's suing the company for wrongful termination. Claimed he was sabotaged by a subordinate who intentionally left gaps in documentation. I sat back, staring at the screen. It was almost poetic. The man who couldn't admit a mistake now building his final monument out of lies. Me. That'll be fun for Discovery. Maya. They already pulled your emails. You're clear. Everyone's laughing about it. Me. Laughing? Maya. The board cited your reports as proof of due diligence. HR even called you the documentation gold standard. I didn't reply for a long time. I didn't need to. There are moments when karma doesn't come with thunder. It arrives on paper in black and white, signed and dated. A month later, Denver closed another funding round. My roadmap, Project Atlas 2.0, was credited in the press release. The CEO sent me a short message. They asked how we built a scalable architecture so fast. I told them the truth. We hired the guy who used to fix broken empires. I smiled at that, because for the first time, it didn't sound like ego. It sounded like freedom. 3 weeks after that, an email appeared in my inbox with the subject line, "We'd like to discuss a new role, Vire Systems." I hovered over the delete button, then curiosity won. Inside. Jason, following recent leadership changes, we're restructuring the engineering division. The board has expressed strong interest in having you return as VP of Engineering, on your terms. We'd love to discuss this opportunity. I read it twice, then closed it. Then I wrote a single-sentence reply. Thank you for the offer, but I'm already working somewhere that understands what a deal means, and hit send. That evening, I was on a call with my new team, reviewing code when my phone buzzed, a number I hadn't seen in months. Brad. For a second, I almost ignored it, but curiosity has sharp teeth. Hello? His voice was quieter than I remembered. Hey, Jason, look, I just wanted to clear the air. The whole lawsuit thing, it's just lawyers, you know. I didn't mean to drag you into it. You didn't. He hesitated. Right. Well, no hard feelings, yeah? I almost laughed. No hard feelings? He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. I mean, it got out of hand. But you were always my guy. We made a good team. I let the silence hang for a second longer than comfort allowed. Then I said, you wanted a month without me. You got it. And everything that came with it. He didn't respond right away. When he finally spoke, it was almost a whisper. I guess I did. Click call ended. The next morning, I was at my desk early, coffee steaming beside my keyboard. The Denver office was waking up slowly across the time zones. Calm, focused, alive. Maya messaged me again. They finally settled with Brad. No payout. Just NDA and exit clause. Officially done. Good, I wrote. You should have seen the board call. Someone quoted you. Quoted me. Yeah, they said, sometimes when you lose your best engineer, you find out who is really holding the place together. I stared at the screen, that small smile finding its way back. Not pride, not revenge, just closure. Weeks turned into months. One night, I was walking home, city lights painting the pavement gold, when I passed a small cafe near Union Station. Through the glass, a familiar logo flickered on the TV. Vire Systems. A news anchor's voice drifted through the glass. Vire Systems officially announces merger with Denver-based startup Nova Frame. I stopped. Nova Frame, my company. The CEO's statement followed. We're bringing together two cultures, innovation and integrity. The merger will be led by our existing architecture team. I laughed so hard people turned to look. Brad had wanted a world without me. He'd gotten one, only for it to circle back and report to the guy he tried to erase. The next morning, I was summoned to a brief video call with the board. The CFO from Vyre smiled through the screen. "Jason, seems we'll be working together again, under much better circumstances this time." I nodded. "This time, let's make sure the word deal means something." He chuckled. "Agreed." Later that week, I met Maya for coffee. She slid her phone across the table. A photo of Brad's old office being repainted. "Guess who's moving in there?" she said. I didn't even look. "Someone better," she grinned. "Someone quieter." As we left the cafe, the morning light caught the glass of the nearby skyscrapers, the same kind that once held me prisoner. Now they just reflected sky. I thought about the whole chain of events, how a single sentence tossed like a joke had unraveled years of arrogance. "You want a raise? I want a month without you. Deal?" He meant it as humiliation, but in the end it was liberation, for both of us. For him it stripped away the illusion of control. For me it stripped away the need for permission. That night I sat down to write one last note in the private journal I'd kept since the day I said deal. Revenge doesn't need noise. Karma doesn't need an audience. Sometimes the loudest justice is simply walking away and letting the silence do what you never could. I closed the laptop, turned off the lights, and let the quiet fill the room. Somewhere deep inside the hum of the sleeping city, I swore I could still hear it, the echo of his voice, smug and careless, fading into the distance, and over it, my own reply, calm and final. Deal.